just had an exciting morning. I get home from my first shift and Denise is like, "Do you know how to catch a lizard? You seem to be friend to all animals." I'm like, "Where is said lizard?" She's like, "On my bedside table staring at me." So I took care of it. I got the lizard out, let him back into the garden, asked him not to come back. And that's all she wrote. And you would think that by now I would learn not to invoke tower moments. But as hard as this one was, it was very needed, and I got the clarity that I was asking for and all the things, and in the end it makes sense and all of that, which was the point. So now that I have those answers about what is and has been misaligned, which were some massive misalignments, and looking at the spaces where I was feeling that tension and why, and realizing that a lot of the actions, though who I am and all the things I can understand and I have a level of grace and compassion for, they are truly unforgivable, and I have the power to say what I will and will not allow into my life, and just those things do not support who I am, who I want to be, who I'm becoming, the life that I want for myself outside of anyone or anything else. So I can let go of that very freely, and that was it took away a lot of pain and a lot of tension that I was holding almost instantaneously. And then just having that clarity about what I want outside of others and others' influences, and even just false reality constructs that really only bind you if you choose to let them bind you, and made some decisions about timelines and things that I want for myself and how I'm moving forward from here. And that felt very empowering, and now I can just allow for the universe to make the space and allow for the opportunities which support that to come my way. And I'm good with that. So let's find out what is going on in the collective, where you are on your journey, what it is that you need to know, and all that good stuff. I decided we're going to pull some Oracle. We'll see how that goes. Oracle for me can kind of be a hit and a miss. And I also have some ideas about just projects that I want to work on going forward from here. And ultimately, like I said, when I offered that tower moment of a prayer, was like, if you can show me where those misalignments were, I will step fully into my purpose. And I feel like I have that clarity and that power to actually do that. And I feel very confident and very clear about that, which again is outside of anything and everyone else. It is just simply me and how I'm called to serve, and that is what I'm going to do. So let's see what we're going to get from Owl Medicine. So let's see. Owl Medicine is about wisdom, illumination, intuition, clairvoyance. This is going to be about going inward. So if you missed that little post about retreat, it's on my website, just go search it. It's very important to go into those spaces of retreat and go into yourself. That's often what I call walkabout, is I go on those spiritual hikes, and I allow myself to go inward and connect to myself and nature. And that's kind of the same message here, is this owl medicine is very feminine, it's very intuitive, it's very powerful, but you need to turn inward into that shadow, into that darkness, to find that clarity, right? And it says, when this card comes out, that it's advent of a time of illumination and transformation, and to enter into a solitary meditative state. So it looks like the collective is mirroring the energy that I'm moving through, which is kind of cool, because that's kind of the point. just a heads up that if you are being called into the same kind of space that I'm going through, just be aware that your life might 180, and the direction that you thought you were going in might completely, entirely change once you realize that the things you desire, but the things that, you know, you truly need in this lifetime might not be one and the same, and it might be a totally 180 turnabout in your life. So just be prepared for that. Alright, we're going to check out Earth Magic. They really do like to make me work for these, don't they? Gaia, nurturing. So Mother Earth here. So we are having a lot of feminine energy come forth with the owl spirit, and it being about tapping into the intuition and that feminine side, this as well, because it's messages about how receiving is a sacred act of an intention, and we know that that receiving energy is the feminine energy. To have an open heart and be humble, and to allow yourself to be nurtured as much as you desire to nurture others. That your wounds can be healed, and that the way to achieve this is by nurturing yourselves and allowing for those who care for you to provide that same level of nurture and care in your time of need. So, a big part of my intention in pulling back was I wanted to see what exists in my life that is doing just that. What is supporting, caring for, and nurturing me in my reality? What is really truly here? And that was really eye-opening in this past, what did I say, 3 days? So 48, 72 hours. You know, who was there for me, who checked in on me, who, you know, was mirroring and reciprocating the type of energy that I needed in my retreat, and who, you know, honored that in all of the things and had that level of respect and reverence and held that space and all of those things. So those are deeply feminine things. So it seems like that feminine energy is asking for you to go within and to assess those things, because essentially from that space, from that contraction is what brings the birthing, right? So you gotta trust the process. All right, let's see. Can we get some clarification for the collective on this energy that's coming through? What does the collective need to know? 5 of Voices. So I want to read from the book on this one today, because there are some very beautiful messages in the symbology that this was designed with. And this card talks a lot about the feeling of defeat and the lessons within the loss, and understanding that with that perspective of what am I taking away from this, what is the lesson, you are always winning. Even when you don't get what you want or things don't go the way that you had hoped, those lessons ultimately help you grow into who you're becoming, right? It allows you to set stronger boundaries, to let go, to develop a sense of belief system for who you are now. And I can attest to a level of forgiveness that I've had to have over my past, because even if you look at my marriage, the reason why I entered into that partnership in the first place and why it fell out was the set of values that I had at the time and the belief system and things. We were very aligned. That was a very aligned relationship. It ticked off all of the boxes I had at the time, right? Which is why I entered into that partnership, which is why I got married, because I am very intentional with my life that way. And, you know, as we grew and as my belief system changed and I came into different levels of awareness, that alignment obviously shifted, because I reclaimed what my inner beliefs were and started releasing those constructs in which I was raised on. So as I did that, and as we began to navigate life outside of the cult that we were raised in, it became very apparent that we have very different values and belief systems. And ultimately that led to the dissolution of our marriage, which is fine because we had that conscious conversation where it's like, hey, we are not what each other need. We have totally different values and belief systems. The life that we want is not in alignment. And that's kind of the space that I'm sitting in right now, is seeing that kind of mirror again. It's just like the values, the belief systems, the type of life that I want for myself, who I am, the advocacy, all of those aspects, they're missing. So it kind of comes down to like, you can't create something from nothing, right? So that's a very big misalignment if, you know, those values and belief systems are not there. Even if you have, even if there are like shared values within any kind of dynamic, it's not always enough. Like, you can hold the same value over like one or two things, but unless there is harmony and symbiosis, like, you cannot grow, build, develop, because there's enough, like, that's not enough, right? It's like having one or two corners of the foundation but not all four. Like, there's more that's needed there, and that's a lesson that I've had to learn many times in my life. So that was a really powerfully reflective moment, and it seems like the collective is being asked to look at the same types of thing, because right now you're focused on that loss, on that lack, on how things aren't working. But what you don't realize is that the reason our things are working is because of the misalignment. And all morning I kept hearing failure to thrive, failure to thrive, failure to thrive. And that's very much what it feels like for me. And people keep saying, it looks like you're thriving. And I'm like, I feel like I'm just making the most out of the situation I'm in, which is something I've always done. And I don't really want to live like that. I can. It's born out of extreme trauma. And, you know, I want more for myself. I always have. And I'm going to continue to keep striving for that and waiting for the right opportunities and the right people and all of those things to align with me, because I know myself so well that I know that I can say yes or no to those things, right? And as a collective, we're being called to do that, to sit and reflect about why those things aren't working. Not just that they aren't working, but why. Why is this misaligned? What is misaligned here? Why am I angry? And I was trying so hard to be forgiving, and then I realized that the reason why I couldn't forgive is because I didn't want to. And the moment that I had that realization, all the weight was gone, and I was like, whoa, what the fuck was that? Because now it's like, shit. And now I'm having to sit with that, like, coming from a very religious background where, you know, we're peddled this whole idea of, you know, freely forgiving. It's like, well, if you take a look at karma, no. Sometimes those actions, those misalignments, those essentially those crimes against you do not deserve forgiveness. They deserve the karma and lesson that is equated to the level of pain, fear, heartache that it created. The law of karma, of cause and effect, has to be balanced. That's why I say you can't spare someone their karma, you can't spare someone their lessons. And I think that the situation that I had with being stolen from was a bit of an eye-opener, because I was so calm in that situation, and I'm like, you know what, you fucked up. The consequence is, you know, being charged. Same thing, like, if it's unforgivable, it's unforgivable, and the karma and the lessons are what they are, and sometimes you have to let go and let karma do its thing. The forgiveness that you need to have is simply for yourself and, you know, what you've allowed. And that comes back to this 5 of voices, is what was the lesson here? If you can focus on that lesson and allow yourself to move forward instead of focusing on the lack, then you win. You get to walk away. You get to be in your power. Use of Voices, which is King of Swords. You get to have that clarity. You get to stand in this very powerful place where you have the confidence and the ability to set boundaries, to speak your truth, to stand in and embody your truth. And that is a very powerful place to be. And let me tell you, it scares the shit out of people because they know they can't manipulate you. Yep. That energy, that manipulative energy cannot thrive. And if it cannot thrive, the only thing left is alignment. So guidance or advice in navigating this introspective space. Magician. Realize that you have everything you need to get you where you're going. Your soul has all the answers. It is, if you allow yourself that time to sit and pause and turn within, remove yourself from distractions as much as possible, those clarities will come. I can attest to that. You will see what you have to work with, because again, if something is not there, you cannot create from nothing. So if you can shift that perspective onto what you do have, what you have power and control of, that brings you back into alignment. It shows you what you have. And from that space, you can powerfully create the life that you desire for yourself. Embrace. And it will continue to give you the ability to alchemize your pain into power, and to integrate your shadow, and to powerfully stand in all of those parts of your being, which is truly beautiful. Is there anything else the collective needs to know about this? The moon. You are feeding into some kind of illusion. You are self-victimizing. It's the pain that exists there because basically you're choosing it. You're choosing the comfortability of your pain because you don't want to see the misalignments. And I get it, because that's what I just had to go through, and it is fucking painful. So, best of luck. I can attest to the fact that those spaces of introspection are deeply powerful. They bring a lot of clarity, but it can be a very difficult process because we are just so used to everything and everyone outside of us telling us what's going on, what's happening, and searching for that information rather than turning inward. And it can be really hard to get quiet enough and still enough and open enough to hear that inner truth, and then to sit and face it, which is arguably much harder. So, all of the power to you. I'm going to sit with that and maybe come in with a healing later today if I have some time, or over the next week. I'm going to sit and continue to meditate about how my soul is asking to move forward and serve now with these shifts and the misalignments and the alignments, and really the only space that I have power and control of as a feminine, and how I know that I'm called to serve. So, I'll see you around.